understanding the technology that powers the money is essential. Knowing the business drivers that inspire how the money is made is crucial. Bridging the gap between the mind of the technologist and the mind of the business is monumental. That is what TBF is all about. Let's start this never-ending conversation. It's time.
Friday, we're back with another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. I'm really happy to be joined by my spectacular guest, Deepak Jain. How are you today, Deepak?
I'm doing great. Great, Namdi. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'm really excited for this conversation. Today's topic, passwords are dead, inside the biometric boom powering the next gen payments. Before we jump into it, let me do some housekeeping, and I want to formally introduce my phenomenal guest. We are streaming live from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We have a separate stream going from Instagram. So those who join on Instagram, you can go to the Tech Behind FinTech to see me and my guest as opposed to just seeing the side of my face. So that will be great. All right, without further ado, let me introduce my guest and let's get into today's topic, which I'm interested in talking about. Deepak Jain is a seasoned fintech entrepreneur of over 27 years of experience across payments, digital security, and mobile commerce. He founded Wink in 2021, a breakthrough biometric identity and payment authentication platform that delivers frictionless, camera-enabled checkout through face, voice, and palm recognition. Wink's technology powers seamless, secure transactions across e-commerce, in-store kiosks, stadiums, and drive-thrus. Before Wink, Deepak led Device Fidelity, developers of one of the first mobile NFC payment systems, later acquired by Square. He also founded Monito, an award-winning mobile wallet, and Switch, a blockchain-powered gifting platform, both of which resulted in successful acquisitions. Deepak served as the global head of payments at Enabler, a publicly traded company that moved as much as 115 billion cross-border volume. He holds 50 plus patents in security, payments, and mobile technology, and is recognized as a visionary leader in payments innovation. Amazing.
Thank you.
Wonderful career, man. Making us, when I read these types of bios, I'm just so amazed at the type of career trajectory you had. What inspired you?
Oh, from the very beginning, when I was a kid, always wanted to do something innovative, something that no one has done before. Just look to extend the envelope and make things happen, and make the impossible sort of get closer to reality. So that has been a passion from the beginning. Was lucky enough to get high quality education and opportunities in my early days to work alongside great companies, get the opportunity to learn and extend my skill set. So it's been a journey full of trying to do the innovative things and bring new products to market.
That's really interesting. So, with all the companies that you've built, that we read in your bio, what did you learn from your previous acquisitions that led you to Wink?
Lots of learnings. That would take a whole episode just talking about the learnings from all the different ventures. From a technology perspective, since this is a tech show, clearly, the learning from the very early on was that the human convenience and human security, and the available technologies out there still did, a lot of friction was there. And anytime you needed to make things better from a security standpoint, they tended to get more and more difficult from a convenience standpoint. So there was always an opportunity to try to bring new technology in the market that sort of married the idea of security and convenience together. And payments has been a fantastic area to do that, because in from the very beginning of time, that's an area which is largely focused by fraudsters and hackers to take advantage of loose security and lose and really lose paradigms there. So been constantly learning how to make those things better.
I mean, that's definitely interesting. I mean, a long time ago, they asked a bank robber, "Why do you rob banks?" And he said, "Because that's where the money's at." It was simple. It was a question and a real simple answer. And obviously, with payments, it's where the money's at. So that's the place where you're going to have nefarious actors targeting the most. And since we're talking about biometric data, obviously, with what you do at Wink, if you were to explain Wink to a 10-year-old, what would you say?
Very simply, that in today's world, the way the technology has developed, the human presence, the information that is available with the human presence, your face, your palm, your retina, the shape of your ears and noses, they are so unique that now with technology, they are enough to identify you, and you do not need any other forms of identification. You do not need passwords, you do not need usernames, you do not need those plastic badges or anything of that sort. The technology has come to a place where the human can be authenticated and recognized very, very quickly, and that's really what's going to make the world a better place. If we can get rid of those artificial forms of identity like usernames and passwords, that's what is used by hackers and fraudsters all over the world to make life difficult for everyone. So we are trying to make the world a better place by shutting down those type of holes.
And when we talk about biometric, using your biometrics for security, my biggest concern has always been, I can change my password, right? Like, we all have situations where companies that we rely on, that we use, they were breached. That all of a sudden you get this alert that your information is on the dark web, passwords are on the dark web. You get an alert, you may want to change and update your passwords, right? So with that understanding and what you just said, your biometrics being unique to you, one of the biggest fears is if that's ever compromised, that can't be changed. Like, one of the people that loves my face the most is my mom, right? So this can't change. This is it. This is what this is. I was born with this. This is it. So what happens in that situation?
Yeah, so a lot of that misconception about biometric being compromised comes from 25 years ago, or even longer, or even way longer, with fingerprints, and the fact that you need your entire fingerprint in order to match somebody using the fingerprints. We've all seen that in crime dramas, in on TV. That fingerprint, they have been synonymous with biometrics, right? And you need the entire fingerprint to match somebody using fingerprints as a biometric modality. So there was always that danger that if somebody were to steal your fingerprints, they could that could become a very difficult thing to manage. But technology since then has come a long way. With facial recognition, the way we store that data, um, it cannot be compromised because let me give you an analogy like maybe a 10-year-old can understand. Uh, Take your driver's license, for example. That has your picture, it has some holograms, and it has some numbers, and it has a barcode. Imagine a algorithm or a machine that shreds that driver's license and actually just keeps uh, the small part of your picture, like your eyes and your uh, ear and your nose. It keeps a portion of your driver's license number, and it keeps the hologram on your driver's license. That's the information that it stores, right? So now it's impossible, and it discards everything else, right? It's that goes in the shred. So now you cannot recreate that driver's license from the information that has been stored about your driver's license, because 90% of that resolution of that driver's license has been lost. But if somebody were to give you the same driver's license again and say, hey, tell me if you have ever seen this driver's license before, you would be still able to match it with 99.99% certainty by just looking at the piece of information on that driver's license that was retained by that algorithm. So same thing happens with the facial recognition. When we enroll somebody using the face or the palm, uh, there is an algorithm called vectorization or template creation that actually creates a mathematical model of the face, which is equivalent of storing some information about various features of your face, but then removing 90% of the resolution of the face from what is stored. And the actual picture is deleted, so it's no longer there. So it's almost impossible then for anyone, if that data is compromised, to recreate the face, right? But when that same face comes again, it can be matched by running the same vectorization algorithm and just matching the vectors from what was stored. So that's the technology behind this. It cannot be, you're not giving away your face to someone in such a way that it can be stolen and then you have to go get plastic surgery and change your face. That's not the case. The same thing happens with the palm. And these technologies are improving all the time. The way the vectors are stored, there are technologies available called sharding, where portions of the vectors are stored in different databases. What we do is similar technology. We'll store the information about the face in a different place versus the vectors that belong to your palm, the vectors that belong to your voice. They're all stored in different places. There's no way to match them against each other. So if you look into our database, all you're going to see are millions of eyes and ears and noses, information about them, but you're not going to be able to connect them with each other. Similarly, you'll not be able to connect the vectors belonging to the face with vectors that belong to the palm. You don't know whose is what, right? So the technology is so powerful these days that it's very, 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 very difficult for anyone to recreate a recognizable picture from the data that we store. But it's still able to match with 99.99% certainty when a face is presented to the algorithm.
Let me just reiterate some stuff to make sure the audience and we all understand this, right? So the first thing, the technology you're using is vectorization. So a person provides their face, a picture is taken. You run this algorithm leveraging vectorization and certain techniques from sharding, in which you take a portion of that face, and that portion can estimate around 10% of the image captured, various parts of the face. So that's 10%. So 90% of the information is then discarded, shredded. It's not there anymore. And if someone were to compromise the storage and take that 10%, is relatively useless to them to reproduce the full face. Is that part accurate?
Absolutely accurate. And, depending on the resolution of the camera, the percentage could change, right? For example, if you are using a 15 megapixel camera, the original picture might be 20 megabytes. Our vector size remains the same at 512 or kilobytes or 1 megabytes, right? But if you're taking a picture from a 2 megapixel camera, the original picture might only be a few hundred kilobytes, but our vector size still remains the same at 512 kb. So the percentage differs according to the resolution of the camera, but the principle is the same, that a majority of that information from a pixel resolution perspective is gone when the vectorization takes place, and the vectors are represented as a 3D map of coordinates. If you were to map the face on a coordinate map, right? So there have been well-written papers on how exactly it's done, but the science is that.
And just to go further along with that, just to get a clearer understanding. So now with this 10% and using the same vectorization algorithm, if a person now a real person presented their face, you're able to do a match.
Correct. So the face is again vectorized, and the vectors are again plotted on that 3D map, and then there is a distance searching algorithm that finds the nearest eye, the nearest nose, the nearest ear to what is stored in the database, and then the algorithm looks at out of those nearest eyes, ears, and noses, which face were they vectorized from when the enrollment of the user takes place, and that's how the matching works.
Okay, so the other 90% that was shredded, that's no longer there. So it's now matching with that 10%. So a few questions along that line. What happens in the case of identical twins or people that look similar?
Yes, so that's where we have developed what we call the multimodal nature of the algorithm. So clearly, if there are identical twins, just the facial algorithm is not enough to differentiate them. Although there are now science theories that are saying that you could still tell identical twins apart from the shape of the ear. That's still unique. Correct. Shape of the ear, yes. So there are some new science research that is being done to be able to differentiate identical twins from the way, not just the outside shape, but the internals of what's visible to a camera in how your ear is constructed might be different. So again, that's work in progress. Researchers are on it. But just from a facial algorithm, today's technology, it's not possible to differentiate identical twins. So that's when secondary factors are used to do that. And the secondary factors that we use is the device that the user might be coming from. So we are able to profile very accurately the mobile device or the browser or the computer where the user is coming from. We are able to use voice of the user, which is frequently different for twins. We are also able to use the palm prints, which are also different for twins, as secondary factors to differentiate between identical twins. So that's why we develop the multimodal technology, and we frequently recommend our customers to deploy multiple biometric modalities in order to create a robust system that can not only differentiate identical twins, but in some cases, facial recognition is susceptible to environmental factors. You may have a very dark room, or you may have physical factors like somebody might be wearing a large cap or some sort of a mask. So you always a robust implementation always is recommended to have a secondary factor, device, voice, palm, as many factors as you can about the user will help in creating a robust implementation.
So, in comparison, that multi-modal approach is similar to multi-factor authentication, when you have passwords and then you have some sort of, time-based PIN and other factors. Conceptually, the same thing.
Conceptually, the same thing. Multimodal, in some case, you could get in a single session. Typical multi-factor authentication, it happens in two different places or two different interrogations to the user. But in multimodal, for example, I'm speaking to you here, and if you were to capture 3 seconds of my video, you could potentially have a lot of information about me, not just my face, my voice, but also my background. And that information is already providing multiple modalities that were captured in the same session. So that's where multimodal becomes a little bit better than multi-factor, which is, sometimes creates a little bit of friction for the user if it's happening on two different devices or two different ways.
And since you brought that up in terms of video, the next question that I have is, how does, with biometric data in the age of AI and deepfakes, how do we guard against that?
Yes, so there's a technology called liveness detection, and there is a technology called intrusion detection. Those are two clear ways in which we guard against deepfake. Let me speak about both. So what liveness detection does, using AI, it perceives depth in the image. So the way I am talking to you today, if our algorithm was running in this live streaming software, it would be able to perceive the depth of the image that is coming, because the light shines differently on different parts of the face, and there is a light information that's embedded in every pixel of the image. So using that, you are able to perceive depth. You're able to perceive that different parts of the face are actually getting different parts of light, and hence it's a 3D image and not a 2D image. That information is very, very easy to capture, and that's how we are able to differentiate a live person behind a real camera versus a video that has been generated by software. So that's one technique called liveness detection. The second technique is obviously part of liveness detection, called active liveness detection. That's looking at the other characteristics in the image. How my face is moving, my lips are moving, my eyes are moving. How my lips are moving, comparing it with the voice that's coming out. Whole bunch of techniques out there that allows AI to also detect it's a live human speaking versus a video that has been generated. Video has a telltale, software generated video has a telltale signs that it's been generated by a software, because it's missing some of those finer details. So that's all about liveness detection. And then there is intrusion detection. What intrusion detection does, it allows software to differentiate between a video stream coming from the hardware camera of the computer versus something that has been injected by software. So you may generate a fake video of me, but how are you going to present it to a live stream like this? you'll have to inject my stream via software, and somehow make the live stream software feel like the image is coming from the actual hardware camera, but it's not. The image is not coming from the actual hardware camera. It's coming from a software that has injected that video into the live stream. So with intrusion detection, we are able to capture whether the feed is coming from the actual hardware camera, or it's coming from a software generated cam or software emulated camera. So those are some of the techniques that allows us to block deepfakes, and really know with a very high degree of reliability that's actually a live human being in front of the camera.
That's amazing. In terms of, I like the intrusion aspect, because you're right. If you have a deep fake, it has to be presented in some way, shape, or form. I have to take that static video, because it's not live, and then I have to insert it somewhere. And in that process, that's the intrusion technology that you use to detect how is it being presented.
And if you play it on my phone and hold it against the webcam to try to make it look like me, but it's actually my deepfake running, that's even easier to detect, because now you've got another screen in the middle that AI can say, hey, there's another screen in the middle, that's fake. You can't have another screen in the middle. So yeah, the AI is able to safeguard against that.
Very, very, very interesting. What do you, in your experience in running this company since 2021, how do you see generational attitudes towards identity evolving from the Gen Z to the boomers and so forth in leveraging this biometric data?
Yeah, I mean, the younger you get, the more adoption and the more people don't even think about it, right? I mean, my kids, they do not remember the time when we were swiping a credit card, right? That's that process of sliding a card, they don't remember that anymore. It's all about either inserting the card or tapping the phone, and so some of these things now coming very, very naturally to people, right? And there have been so many things with Face ID in Apple that has been around for many years, where the process of unlocking the device with your face is now common. If you're going to have a phone that doesn't do that, you're not going to buy it. The younger the audience, the more natural it is, right? So and now with frequent travelers at the airport, you go to the line where you can go buy the faster VIP experience, where they can simply breeze you through in, right? So the adoption is growing, the awareness is growing, and naturally the younger the audience, the better the understanding and the natural feel that it gives, that this is the way it's going to happen in the future.
In thinking about that and thinking about crimes, it seems like, and the argument could be presented both ways, right? If someone's physically attacking you and physically there trying to use force or intimidation, they can the same way they can take your phone and put it towards your face to unlock something. They can basically demand you give up your password and so forth. So I'm always like kind of thinking about that also. It's a similar concept with most home alarm systems. They have the regular password that you use, and they have a password that you use in case you're in trouble and someone's standing right there. What are your thoughts around those type of strong arm situations when it comes to biometric data?
I mean, the technology is definitely already there to identify stress on your face, to identify Um, Other issues, it's already implemented in cars where drowsiness can be detected by facial recognition type devices. You can also detect uh, not paying attention. So the technology is there that it can implicitly identify abnormal behavior. It's called behavioral biometrics. It's a growing area of research. All sorts of indicators that can help identify a situation which it may not be normal, that of what's happening. But the key, as you said, is the password itself is eliminated, right? There is no password to actually force out from the user. There is no password to social engineer away from the user. So that itself creates a lot of barrier for a hacker, right? The hackers will still continue to focus their attention. The rewards are much better that where there are still passwords in use, where there are people still using one-time PIN codes for authentication. The hackers are going to focus there. So the very fact that you have deployed a biometric solution, you're already discouraging, the hacker community to attack your system. They're going to focus elsewhere. So that by itself is a pretty good barrier that you put in place.
Interesting. So we always like to acknowledge comments from our audience. So we're going to do one right now. My guy, Kevin Garland, who also is in the payment space. Happy Friday, all. Thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate you, Kevin. So I like to read some stats, get your thoughts on it. How would it work in the reverse in biometrics? So a couple of password fatigue stats. The average person manages 100 plus passwords, according to NordPass in 2024. According to a rising DBIR in 2023, 81% of data breaches involve weak or stolen passwords. It might be hard to get. Based on your what you do in your company and what you specialize in, you may have some other stats. How do you think that stat is flipped for biometric data and using that for security?
Yeah, the stats are out there in terms of how the customer behavior has changed with respect to biometric implementations that have taken place, how the preference from consumers is very, very heavily leaning towards biometrics. If you ask them to compare, what would you like as a way to protect your financial account, a biometric front end or a password based front end? Overwhelming answer is biometrics, right? So both empirical research as well as actual behavioral data suggests that that biometrics will replace passwords. Now, the time that it takes and the reason why it's slow, it's because most organizations that are out there that have invested money and time in building their systems and have millions of users, they are stuck with passwords, and it's a fairly complicated process to eliminate them. So it's a slow process of implementing biometric solutions, providing the education to the consumer, shifting behavior towards biometrics, shifting enough behavior toward biometrics that they can start phasing out the passwords completely. And then hopefully at one day we'll get to a point where they can close the door, shut the door on passwords completely, right? So it's really that transition time and process that making it slow. But otherwise, the consumer perception is overwhelmingly in support of biometrics.
It's the what I always think about are the funny memes you see on social media where there's a couple, like a girlfriend or boyfriend situation, and the partner in a lot of the social media memes, he's sleeping, and a girlfriend takes his phone, puts it over his face to unlock the phone. What are your thoughts around that? Because you mentioned before the technology exists to detect behavior, right? I mean, so behavioral stuff. So if someone's sleeping and you can't just unlock their phone or log into something. What are your thoughts around that?
That's not really a a ding against biometrics. It's really poorly implemented biometrics is what I would call it, right? Anyone who has implemented biometrics properly, those type of scenarios will not take place, right? So as I said, liveness detection, behavioral biometrics, multimodal solutions, they are all designed to prevent unauthorized access. That's the whole point, right? Is unauthorized access. If you do not want access, no one should be able to sidestep you and get access into your account. In fact, things like account sharing, big thing on the internet. People talk about it in groups all the time. How do I defraud a streaming company by using their password and share it across 20 friends, and I only pay 50 cents versus paying $10 a month? Those type of things can be eliminated if there is a proper use of biometrics, because again, unauthorized access is the whole point.
You're going to get a lot of families upset who share Netflix passwords.
Yeah, we don't go out and promote the use case. All I'm saying is the possibility of the technology. We understand the commercial impact drives a lot of technology decisions, and we don't force our customers behind a particular business model. But from a strictly a technology perspective, biometric authentication is designed to prevent multiple people getting to the same account, multiple different people getting into the same account.
No, it definitely makes perfect sense. I mean, based on everything you said, and the logical path, it's a one-to-one relationship as opposed to one-to-many if you were to share the password and so forth. What in looking at the industry as a whole, how does this impact, or it looks beneficial to different compliance frameworks, especially when you talk about payments and you start talking about PCI, GDPR, and so forth? What do you see there in terms of associating the biometrics and where the technology is going and current compliance frameworks that are out there?
Yeah, certainly from preventing cyber attacks, preventing ransomware attacks, preventing these type of attacks. As you said, 80% plus of all cybercrime can be linked back to a bad password or unauthorized or sharing of passwords and stuff like that. So from that perspective, there is a lot of openness to the idea from all the compliance people. When it comes to PCI and GDPR and other regulations, there is a guiding principle around all of those, and dumbing it down to what people can understand. It's about not sharing, not storing information that can be misused. So you don't store card numbers. If you have to store card numbers, you store them in a way that they cannot be decrypted. That's what PCI compliance is all about. Is around who is allowed to store that data and who is not allowed to store that data, how often you have to rotate those encryption keys and all of that stuff, right? So all of the same stuff can apply to biometric data. Similarly, in terms of privacy regulations, guiding principles like you do not profile someone without their permission. You need appropriate consents from the consumer. You need to provide clarity to the consumer that their data can be used in the future to identify them, to authenticate them. And only if they consent to the idea do you go ahead and enroll them. and you provide capability for the solution provider to offer a simple way for that data to get deleted upon customer's request, and you adhere to the government regulations that are there in several states, that if somebody is not using the data for a or that service for a extended period of time, that data should be automatically deleted. So retention rules and things of that sort, right? So as long as you adhere to those guiding principles, the compliance framework is really, something that the software and the technology can manage.
Makes sense. So, you touched on, different use cases throughout the show. So, we talking about phones, to retail, stadiums, vehicles, especially with the behavioral analysis. What do you see as the next frontier?
Yeah, certainly there are certain verticals that are amenable or more excited by the idea of biometrics. And especially when it comes to the confluence of identity and commerce. So far, we have talked purely about identity, but really, the fact of the matter is that identity is becoming the new rails for commerce. It used to be many years ago, identity was not even involved at all in a payment transaction. You just use the card number, and it had no connection whatsoever to your identity. Anybody who had that card could use it, right? So there was no connection with the identity. But over time, identity has started to get linked to commerce. People are starting to see the fact that, when you tap a phone, you are first authenticating access to that phone by unlocking the phone with your face. It's a pretty stringent process to actually load a credit card onto a wallet. It uses technologies called KYC, where you have to know that customer, be able to authenticate them in a different way. So identity has started to get linked with commerce, but still, it's a fairly loose association. Um, what we are doing is making that association very, very tight. So using your face as a payment instrument at point of sale and eliminating the phone in the middle now directly provides a way for the identity information to pass along the whole food chain, right? It goes from the point of sale terminal to the merchant to the payment processor to the bank to the payment network. The identity information can pass through the entire chain and be used to authenticate that transaction. So things can become a lot more um, streamlined, they can become a lot more secure, they can become a lot speedier. The other advantage of doing this is that when you present your face, you can present different types of credentials to that software at the point of sale. Not only are presenting the identity information, you're presenting the linked credit card token. You're also potentially presenting the loyalty ID or a membership ID if that's you are entering a gym, for example, or you are even able to provide qualified discounts that you may have earned at that merchant because you're a frequent shopper. You might even be able to provide age information, that you are of a particular threshold or above a particular threshold that the merchant requires. So there's so much information that can go with the single scan of the face through that entire chain, that it replaces today's user experience where let's say you're buying alcohol and you at Total Wine or whatever store, and you are also wanting to earn loyalty points at that store. You are taking the phone out, you're double clicking the phone, you're scanning your face, you're tapping the phone, you're taking out your ID, presenting the ID, and then you're scanning a QR code to earn points. So there are like 10 steps out there, but you could just simply smile at the POS with Wings technology, and everything goes with just a single smile, right? So the user experience gets so much elevated that there are certain segments that are much more amenable to deploying this fast. And if you take it into stadiums where even ticketing and admissions into the stadium can be combined, so you can use the face to enter the stadium through a VIP line, and you can use the face to buy your burger and beer at the concession stand, and you can also get a discount in the merchandise location and buy your favorite T-shirt over there.
Some may say what you're describing is similar to the movie Minority Report. Remember that with Tom Cruise?
Yes. Yes. I get that reference a lot.
Okay. As you're talking about it, it's like basically, right? I can just leave my house with my car keys. Matter of fact, I don't even need my car keys, right? No, I still have to get the Uber somehow. But as soon as I get to some other vendor, right, everything can just go with my face. I don't have to whip out my wallet, my phone, my face. I could select, I would assume now, the face comes in and I can select which of the credit cards on my profile that I want to use. I might click that button and then I'm in. And then I go somewhere else. And that constant pattern just seems to happen from the detection. And that world you're describing is very similar to that. I don't know what year Minority Report came out, but I remember being around watching it when it came out. I was like fascinated by it.
And it's happening today. It's not like it's a fiction. Even today, you can fathom an experience where you walk out and enter an Uber. They already know you because you pre-booked the Uber. You don't have to whip out anything. You walk out of the Uber. And if you go into your favorite coffee shop, they already know you by face. They already know what you ordered last time. They can prepare that coffee for you. Again, don't have to whip out anything over there. And then you can enter an airport and check in and enter your flight, and you don't have to whip out anything over there either because you've enrolled in the pre-check and they know you by face. So it's already happening. That stuff that you talk about.
So I want to get into I want to switch and get into some personal stuff. But before I do that, let's see, we got a comment. Very insightful from Parry Bata. Very insightful chat. We are moving to a passwordless era. We are hosting the 11th U.S. Instant Payment Summit in Atlanta in March 26 with 60 plus leading speakers and 250 high value attendees. Will be worth attending if you're around it. Okay, Parry, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that. So you have accomplished a lot throughout your career and the entrepreneurial journey, and I want to kind of spend some time on it before we leave. I'm going to ask you a personal question. What was the lowest point in your entrepreneurial journey, and what did it teach you about resilience?
The lowest point is always when a cherished team member or a cherished customer decides to walk away. That's always the lowest point, right? It's always when you've built something either for someone or with someone, and they have a different direction that they want to go, right? That's always the lowest point, But you've got to get up from there and keep moving, right? So clearly, one of the learnings, you asked me about the learnings from the beginning. One of the learnings has been that your team, the people around you, whether it's your actual team, your investors, your advisors, your peers, that's really the what it's all about, right? Ultimately, to flip the question, the biggest reward is when your team joins you back again when you're on to the next venture, right? And when you're on to the next frontier. And if they choose to come back and join you, that's really the biggest reward too, right? So it's always around people. It's always around, what you've enjoyed building. If they go in a different direction, then that's the lowest point.
I love the two sides of that coin that you just presented. That's the first time I've ever heard a founder put it that way in terms of the highs and lows. So The lowest is when a team member leaves you, or someone part of the team in any respect. But the highest, right, is when team members join you on a new venture. And I think that is a very, very interesting perspective. I wanted to repeat it because I don't want it to go over people's head. I want people to really understand that. That's an amazing perspective.
Thank you. And it's not just the team; it's your investors, your advisors, friends, family. It's all about the people around you.
I look at all of those people as part of the team, right? Not directly developing or whatever, but I look at it. So I totally understand what you're saying. So the next question, right, is you've had multiple exits, acquisitions. I mean, at this point, you can, go retire, play golf, do whatever you want, right? Travel the world. In my case, I'll probably be doing jujitsu or something like that in some gym. But, what still motivates you, man, to keep going after multiple exits? Like what still drives you?
It's that, I can't stop ideas coming into my head. And once I get an idea, I want to make it happen, right? It's one thing that science has not invented is stop idea formation in your brain, right? That's really you keep getting thoughts and ideas around. This is what can still make this better, and you keep getting motivated by, let's take this to market, let's make things better here and there, right? So absolutely, that's innovation is what continues to drive me.
Next question. If you were to go back to your first company, what advice would you give that version of Deepak? What would you like? What's the tangible thing? You could go back and say, you know what? And you only had a little bit of time to you went back in time and you only had, I don't know, a minute to say something that, listen, this is what, besides giving him lotto numbers, right?
I don't really need to give an advice, because I was 32 years old when I built my first company, and now with all the white hair, gradual learnings have sort of already shown me what I did wrong, right? So there is no specific advice to give, but yeah, as I said to other founders, young founders, focus on the team, focus on the people, focus on making a difference in what you deliver with what you deliver. Don't chase money, don't chase um, status, or don't chase commercial success only. Chase making a difference with the product that you're delivering, making a difference with the team that you're building.
Do you still get nervous on product launches? I mean, after doing it so many times, you still get butterflies when you're putting out you have this idea, you're putting it out, and it's the first time it's going to go live. Do you still get nervous?
Yes, I mean, again, nervousness is really more with the aspect of we don't want to let our customers down, right? We don't want to deliver something that was that fails to meet the expectation of what we promise. So from that perspective, yes. From the technology perspective, again, building a great team, you have the confidence that things will go right, but the nervousness is always around, are we delivering what we promised, and are we letting anything slip by that we shouldn't?
And the last question, right? What's the one risk that everyone told you not to do, but it turned out right?
Giving a long rope to team members who may not be performing up to the expectation. I am notorious to providing a very, very long rope. Keep giving chances to folks who need to improve. So I've frequently been told, don't do that. and need to move on. And there are underperforming team members, but I just can't get myself to not give sufficient number of chances. And it has proven right in many cases that the people come around, you show confidence in them, they come around and they become valued part of the team.
That's amazing. I appreciate this conversation. Totally enlightening about biometrics and also the entrepreneurial journey. What we do at the end of the show is I'm going to go upstage and I'm going to give you some time to let people know about Wink, anything you want to tell them, how to find you, and so forth. So that's what we do for our guests.
Awesome. Great. I was great speaking to everyone. Our website is wink.cloud. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find my team on LinkedIn. Follow us on LinkedIn. And please reach out if we can help you in any way. Thanks a lot.
Amazing. I have the website there, wink.cloud is now part of this video. Also, well, what I always say at my show, right? Whether you're watching this live, whether you watch this tomorrow, whether you watch this next year, we thank you for your viewership. It means a lot to us. We thank you for all the messages, all the questions, and so forth. Every week we have a newsletter at the Tech Behind FinTech. It's free. It keeps you on the pulse of fintech. It also provides information on our upcoming guests and our upcoming shows. I encourage everyone to subscribe. I'm going to put that link on our show, Tech Behind FinTech /subscribe. Definitely drop your information and you'll be part of our newsletter. On that note, I want to give a sincere thank you to Deepak Jain, our CEO of Wink, our guest today. A lot of insight on biometrics, a lot of insight on the entrepreneurial journey, and we definitely appreciate your time. We always say this when we have one of these types of episodes: you are now a friend of the show, which that means it's a huge responsibility to be a friend, right? That means if there's any news, information, things happening in biometric, and it comes out, and we want to make sense of it, we like to rely on our former guests as experts to come on and talk about it, to break it down for our audience. So we definitely appreciate you, and I wish you a happy weekend.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Understanding the technology that powers the money is essential. Knowing the business drivers that inspire how the money is made is crucial. Bridging the gap between the mind of the technologist and the mind of the business is monumental. That is what TBF is all about. Let's start this never-ending conversation. It's time.